this budget that we're going to increase our spending by $2.4 trillion over the next 10 years. We're going to add $8.5 trillion in debt to our current debt. And then we're going to increase federal spending by $240 billion in just this next year. So when you talk about in your both written comments and your verbal comments that you gave us, you talk about this being a balanced fiscal approach. In my life with my parents and teaching me what is a balanced fiscal approach is not to have a lot of debt.
Yeah, all right. Great exchange. At least the Congresswoman's part of the exchange. She was talking to the Treasury Secretary Jack Lew. That's Congresswoman Diane Black, Republican of Tennessee. Welcome, Congresswoman.
Well, thank you. It's great to be with you, Steve.
And of course, member of the House Ways and Means Committee. Let's start with that, and let's talk about, I mean, you know, the president actually got a budget, you know, on time, but as you said, and I'm paraphrasing, I mean, this is no budget.
No, and I'm glad that he did get the message that by the Constitution he's required to give us a budget on time, which he did. That's a good thing. We'll give him that. But once again, this is just the same old, same old. It's more spending, raising taxes, nothing new. That's really discouraging to us because the president said he wanted to work together, and what he has given us is nothing new and just the same old, same old.
$18 trillion deficit. This the president claims this is all paid for. Sure, it's all paid for with regulations and tax hikes and you name it. That's how he pays for it. And it's just, you know, spend, spend, spend. At the same time, when we're told the Treasury is going to take in more money than ever through taxes.
That's right. And so that only tells you that what we have here in Washington is a spending problem. And we've got to get our spending under control. As a matter of fact, I don't know whether the clip also had me chronicling what is going to be in our debt. It's $8.5 trillion additional debt over the 10-year window. We just cannot continue to put more debt on these future generations. Very concerning. And, of course, this is going nowhere. I want to tell you that.
Right, right. Well, I would assume so. You know, the CEO of polling for Gallup came out yesterday and said that this 5.6% unemployment rate is baloney. And he talked about how, you know, you got people who used to have great paying jobs taking terrible jobs. They're overqualified. They're working 2-3 jobs to try to make ends meet. They're not counted as unemployed, even though they're basically struggling and hate their jobs and have taken a step down. You got the people who dropped out of the workforce participation at its lowest in decades. So he, you know, he said that this is all a bunch of, it's a shell game.
This is the problem when you have the administration come out and try to make everything look cheery. I know they said the economy is growing and everything is just so good under this president. And as I said yesterday, let's go back to Paul Harvey, where what's the rest of the story? 5.6 unemployment rate is not the true measure of what's happening in this country. We know, as you have already stated, that more Americans have dropped out of the labor force. We've got about a 62.7% labor participation rate. And we're seeing that wages have declined. So, no, it's not cheery, as the president would like us to believe. If you know the rest of the story, you know that this economy is not recovering the way they indicate that.
Well, let me ask you about the purse strings, because that's one way you rein in this president. What's going to happen with this immigration executive order and the Homeland Security funding, or however you guys could go about defunding it? Is it going to be defunded, or is he going to get the money going forward next time around as well for this executive order?
Well, as you know, we here in the House have passed a measure that fully funds our DHS, but then does address the issue of the president's executive order. It is over in the Senate right now, and we're waiting for them to take action. And we'll see what they bring back to us, and then we'll have discussions at that point in time. Yeah,
and very briefly, Congresswoman, I know you're as outraged as, well, I shouldn't say as anybody, because the president didn't seem very outraged yesterday, but I say bravo to Jordan for what they did, and I just wish our president had a little bit of their king's blood in him to at least show that he feels something.
The only way that these folks are going to understand that we're serious is to be strong. They don't understand weakness, which is what we're showing right now. And Jordan stepped up. They showed that they're strong and they're serious. But we have a president who is concerned about us doing waterboarding. And then we see what they did pilot over there in Jordan. It just sickens my stomach to think that we wouldn't be calling this what it is. These are radical Islamists. and we must address this issue. This is not an easy issue.
Congresswoman, no, it's not, and you're right, and I hope the message gets through to the president. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it, Congresswoman. We're coming back with more on Iran. Don't go away.